Greetings, fellow seekers of truth, wisdom, and light. This is Reverend Eliot coming to you live tonight from the city of New York. Oh, listen to the crowds cheer. That's right out of the frame, so that's probably a cheesy effect, but I like it. We're here in springtime. Now I wasn't here last week, and I'll tell you why. And this is very important because there's a lot of arguments about when the seasons officially change. Is it the equinox? Is it the solstice? Is it the 20th? Is it the 21st? Well, I can tell you, the seasons change when I get a cold. It comes and goes like clockwork. As soon as the seasons change, I get sick. I start sneezing. I start. Forget it. You don't want to know. You don't want to know. So here we are getting together again for yet another show, and I'm looking forward to it because I'm trying to get used to the video stuff, which really is just me sitting here anyway doing my thing the way I always did. You'll notice behind me some boxes. Now those are interesting because those are you ready for this? Those are books. And those are this is my combination studio and warehouse. The books that I mail out are there. So I have to say now, you guys have been very responsive, and I really appreciate it. I have to wait for a new set of 10 Lost Books of the Prophets to come in. Those are sold out at Amazon now, but I'll have replacements any day now. And the books are still available at I'm freaking myself out for some reason. The books are still available at the printing plant, and they cost less too, by the way, if you do it that way. So I recommend it. In the last couple of weeks, several people have bought all 10 books of the 10 Lost Books of the Prophets through the printing plant. You can find out how to do it at 10lostbooksoftheprophets.com. It's all one word. 10 Lost Books of the Prophets, one big long word.com, and you'll see everything you need to know there. And you can download a little information about it. But these are wonderful books. I still read them. I mean, tell you the truth, I bought, and why shouldn't I, right? Can you really trust anyone who starts out with "to tell you the truth"? What does that mean? That I've been lying to you for the last 14 years, and now I'm going to come clean? No. I had a set from the 1930s of the 10 Lost Books of the Prophets, and they're very fragile. And the pages tear easily if you're not careful. And it's a book from the 1930s. It's a set, 10 little books from the 1930s. So I very gingerly set about restoring them. I scanned them one by one, and I got to work manipulating the text to take out the typos and do all that. And I didn't really think about selling them. I did it for me. And then, of course, it dawned on me, dolt that I am, that other people might want these too. So now I have the only new sets of the 10 Lost Books of the Prophets, and especially one in hardcover. Now, they didn't even do that in the 1930s when these books were around. Over the years, I've bought and sold several sets of these books because I couldn't resist it. The prices were so low. They ain't low anymore. And now my books, the paperback books of the 10 Lost Books of the Prophets, are under $10 each, substantially under $10 each. Somebody is selling my books on eBay for about $27 each plus shipping. Now, if you see that, don't be tempted. I mean, it's got my company name on it. It says Mojo Brothers Books, but don't be fooled by that. They're not selling what I'm selling. And if they were, it's certainly not, I love the books, and I think that they're priceless in many ways, but when you can get them for under $10 each, why would you want to spend $27 and change on each? It's just, you don't. So I understand all that. So I wouldn't do it either. So I did those books because of, that's why I do most of what I do in terms of publishing. It's books I'd like to read. We've got some new books coming up soon. And I want to talk to you about one book before we get into the calls tonight. And maybe I'll tell you a little bit about it bit by bit while we do the show. Because I've noticed an awful lot of anxiety out there in the land. Things are changing depending upon which half of the country you align yourself with. They're changing for the worse or they're changing for the better. But they're changing. And change upsets people. Change upsets many, many people. They found like psychological stress units, they're called. And for instance, getting married, there goes the, see, this change bothers me, these things popping out of my head, change bothers people. If people get married, that has the same number of psychological stress units as an impact on the psyche as getting divorced does. So it's not worth the trouble, right? That's speaking of somebody who's been married for 40 years. No, I think it is worth the trouble. And, there's trouble now and then, but that's life. But change is what people can't take. People don't like change. Some people are addicted to change. Now, there's a neat one, and I maintain that indicates fear of change. There are people I've known who will get an apartment, fix it up, move in, and then 2 years later move out. When the lease expires, they go. If it's a 1-year lease, they go. Get another one, do it all over again. Keeps them busy. That's what change can do, is can keep you busy. And a lot of people need to be kept busy. Well, there are things you can do to not let change bother you. There are things that I've talked about in the show, like the time I had a medical procedure, which the doctors told me is going to be extremely uncomfortable and would bother me a great deal. They were going to, I'll tell you what it was. They were going to insert a catheter into my right arm and send it across to my heart so that they could pop some antibiotics right smack into my blood system, because I had a horrible infection that had almost killed me. And I said to them, well, if it's such an uncomfortable thing, would it help you if I just go to sleep? And they laughed. They laughed at me. I've told this story before. But I promptly went to sleep. And then, of course, when I came out of it, they asked how I did that. They said they'd been doing these things for 20 years and nobody ever fell asleep doing something like that. And I told them, I explained it had to do with meditation. And they said they definitely were going to call me tomorrow and talk about this. And of course, that was 12 years ago, and I still haven't heard from them. Nope. And I won't, because they convinced themselves that it didn't happen. I had a few years ago, after I had a blood clot in my eye, I was given a series of tests to see why I was producing blood clots. And they put me in a really noisy MRI, and I fell asleep in the noisy MRI machine. And when I was done, the person running it looked at me and said, "You meditate, don't you?" See, now she got it. She understood. I found a kindred spirit in the medical system. But I want to show you a book that I've got, speaking of low prices and money, because it's not very expensive. I keep this one deliberately low priced. This is, let's see, that should do it. Can you read that? You got that? It's from my series of books, which hasn't really appeared yet, except for this one. The rest of the series hasn't shown up, called Magic Made Easy. And this is about the middle pillar technique, which is a form of meditation. And it's a classic esoteric meditation, and it's worth knowing, because you can relax yourself under the most trying circumstances if you know how to do this. And again, that's a book that I keep the price under $10. It's not a very big book, so I'm not going to charge a lot for it anyway, but I also want it to be as accessible as possible. So you can go to mojoacademy.org, and you'll find well, I'll tell you what you do. You'll find it. I'll tell you an easier way to get there. tiny.cc/ Am I going blank on you now? See, I have to wait until I'm this old to do a show like this, right? / Easy Magic, capital E, capital Z, and lowercase magic, MAGICK. tiny.cc/ Easy Magic, and you'll get right to the page for this book, and you'll take a look at it, because it's worth knowing how to control yourself and relax yourself when people around you are going bonkers. Now, of course, when people around you are going bonkers, the first thing you want to do is get out of there. But sometimes you can't. You might be on a bus, you might be on a subway, and fear and anxiety is contagious. Oh, brother, highly contagious. So don't let it get the best of you. If you can practice simple meditation, and I also have some meditation discs that I sell. You can look at magic-works.com and see the meditation page. But I highly recommend this book as a start for if you haven't done any kind of calming meditations. This is the way to go about it. So let's keep that in mind, especially since times are they're crazy and they're getting crazier. Let's face it. This is a nutty time period, and there are people who will do something called profit off of our discomfort. They live for that. There are people who just live for breeding anxiety and disorders, and we call those people television pundits. They just want to upset people all the time. They scare everybody all the time. And soon enough, they're going to lose that effect because you can't keep scaring people. But if you want to really ease up on this stuff, this is the way to do it. So that's about all I wanted to get into before we do the readings tonight. And let's do this. Let's ring a bell 3 times to declare sacred space. And now I'll pull the curtain back on the magical window. And let's see. Oh, well, I'll just keep talking for a moment because there's a little gap here that I didn't quite anticipate, but we'll get a caller in a moment. So what else is new here that I can tell you about? Well, I'm still taking constant medical treatment because I'm in the process of dying, but they're holding that off. They're doing very well with that. As you can see, I'm still here, and I'm still a chatterbox, and I'm doing okay. But I've hit a milestone in my treatment in that I am no longer at the phase where the treatment weakens me and wearies me out. I come out of the treatments now feeling almost exhilarated. And part of that is that I do this kind of meditation while I'm under the treatment of the medical experts. See, it's a thing that can benefit you in untold ways in your life. So I'm here now because of a combination of science and esotericism. We'll put it that way. Let's see, what else can I tell you we're doing? Well, I got these buttons. These are nice little buttons. I think I showed you them last time we were live. It says I enjoy reading books, but I'm crazy about reading tarot cards. You can find that at magic-works.com and mojoacademy.org. All the usual places you can find them. I wear these these buttons, and people come up to talk to me, and surprisingly, nobody has tried to burn me at the stake. So I suspect that New York City is getting a little advanced spiritually. But we used to have tarot reading gypsies on every corner in vacant storefronts. Well, we don't have that many vacant storefronts anymore. And I'm sorry, did I say gypsies? I know that I'm not supposed to do that anymore. Romany people is what we're supposed to say. So I'll be kind and go with the flow. But there used to be tarot readers everywhere in New York, more than Chinese restaurants, in fact. They would be on each block. And people here in New York are pretty nuts. And one of the things that they did was they would go to tarot readers just to have somebody to talk to and vent, because we've got 8 million people here, and almost all of them are lonely. Not all of them, but a lot are just lonely, and that's it's kind of sad. But since the pandemic, I've noticed that people here talk to strangers on the street, and it more than just give me your money. They'll talk, they'll compliment how the other person is dressed, they'll get into a conversation. I've had plenty of street photographers take my picture. They've gotten an appreciation for their neighbors, which I hope lasts, because that's one of the things that I like about this town. Now that some of the great pleasures of New York are gone, like museums. I mean, I used to love going to the various museums, the Museum of Natural History, the Museum of Modern Art. Now it's like $40 to get in, and that is kind of a little cheesy considering how many donations they get and how much money they rake in. But these started out free. Like the Metropolitan Museum was not allowed to charge to get in. They had a suggestion that and other people had a suggestion back to them when they made the suggestion. But one of the recent mayors made it statutory that it charge admission, which it never was allowed to, because it's the Metropolitan Museum, which meant it was owned by the city. That was the deal, because they gave them a piece of Central Park. See, now I'm getting into inside baseball here about New York. They gave the museum a piece of Central Park in exchange for not charging people to get in. And of course, now they're charging an arm and a leg to get in. And if they charge 5 arms and legs, then you have a Picasso painting. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. So hey, we've got the phones up again now. Jennifer in San Antonio, Texas is next. Hi, Jennifer. You're on with Reverend Eliot.
Hi.
Hi. How are you tonight, Jennifer?
I'm fine.
Well, good. Let's see what we can do to make that even better. What can I look at for you tonight?
I want to see if y'all have like a message from my past loved ones. Any kind of message for me?
Well, I'll take a look. I never used to do that until I started doing this show, and people asked me to do it, and to my surprise, it worked. There are several cards I look for to show that it's a genuine reading. The death card being primarily one of those, the high priestess who sees behind the veil, things like that. Here's a card I get a lot anyway, which is the 3 of Hearts, which is a card of great sadness. And here's the death card. There you go. Now, this is what's interesting, because this is how these things work generally. I get sadness at the beginning of the reading, and then it turns into something positive, something not sad, which I find very interesting. And it was the first surprise I got doing this stuff. So, like I said, the first card is the 3 of Swords, which indicates sadness. Is that a train going by? Or is nobody else hear that but me?
No, I didn't hear no train.
Okay, I heard it sounded like an elevated here. Then the star, which is the star of hope and optimism, and the 6 of Cups, which is it's about happy memories of the past. So the message I'm getting is, although you're very sad at the people passing, they're saying that it's a very optimistic and hopeful thing. They're in a better place spiritually, and they're saying, remember the happy times with us. That's the main message I'm getting. Okay.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to look at?
Can you tell me anything about the relationship I'm in?
Sure, I'll take a look. Let's just shuffle them up again. Let's see what we get. Let's give it one more. They say if you shuffle a deck of cards 3 times, it's statistically randomized. So I'll go for a 3rd one, and we'll cleanse it from the afterlife reading. But that's how those readings tend to go, which is the message is always, I know you're sad, but we're doing okay, so you'll be happy. Now, the relationship you're in, let's see. Well, this is interesting. The 9 of Coins shows a person who is comfortable being alone. It doesn't mean that you're lonely. It doesn't mean that you don't want to be with anyone, but you're not depending upon a relationship in order to be happy, which is good. The King of Rods is here, so that's a very good, wise, sturdy person who is good in business. Here's another card, the Magician, which is, now that's good. That's a card of a person who has great spiritual power and draws energy from above and brings it down here. So that's going to be very good for you. I'm not seeing
Okay.
any speed bumps.
Okay.
And I have here again the Six of Cups. Again, the same card. It's just there's with that. Now that's telling me that the people are watching you. The people we looked at in the previous reading are watching out for you. That's what I see with that. But everything looks
Okay.
good in your life and in the relationship. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye bye now. And let's shuffle them up. That's interesting. I never had a card bleed over from that kind of reading to the next one. Let's give it a good shuffle. The I'm trying to think if there's anything I've done lately that's worth. Oh, I'll tell you what it is. Worth talking about. This is not quite magical, but some of you know because I talk about it incessantly. I've written a book about shaving. Now, this may not be the wisest business decision I ever made. It's about how to shave with a straight razor. Only about 5% of men who shave use a straight razor and a mug soap and a brush. So that's kind of like a small market. But, hey, here I am. I went and wrote a book about it. And I like the book, actually. I like the book a lot. It's one of my favorites. I call it a new way to an old-fashioned shave. And you probably would like that because if you have a man in your life who doesn't like shaving, this will teach you how to do it in a way that's enjoyable, believe it or not. But here's the thing. I also make my own shaving soap, which again, I speak about incessantly. Mojo Brothers Shaving Soap, which you can find at mojoacademy.org. There's a page devoted to the shaving soap, and it's very well priced. Again, I did that because when the when inflation hit, let's knocking wood about recession, when inflation really hit, it killed off the only three brands of inexpensive but really good shaving soap one had been around for so long that it was the first shaving soap for a mug. That was Williams shaving soap. That's gone. There was Marvy shaving soap, which was the only soap that I encountered that was like the old-fashioned soaps that they stopped making in the late 60s. And then there was another soap, which was a generic kind of soap that well, it was just, these were all very inexpensive and wonderfully foamy, good shaving soaps. And they all died because they were operating on such a thin profit margin. So I decided to make my own soap. I got all the equipment I needed and I got it all together and I make my own shaving soap and I sell that for about the same price, a little bit higher because of the inflation. But I not. There's no way I was going to spend $19 for a shaving soap, and I'm never going to ask anybody else to do that. But I make my own shaving soap, and in the course of doing that, I learned a few interesting things. One of them is there was a man in the 1930s, a retired physician named Dr. Francis Townsend, and he had a thing called the Townsend Plan, which if you find any of the recordings of the old Will Rogers radio shows from the mid 30s, you'll hear Will Rogers discussing the Townsend Plan. But since everybody at the time knew what it was, he never explained it. Well, it took me a while to find out what the Townsend Plan was. The Townsend Plan was going to provide a pension for all retired Americans of $200 a month. Now, in the 1930s, that's a fortune. That's a few thousand now a month. And the only provision was you had to spend it. That would stimulate the economy. Now, I found out that Dr. Townsend came up with his plan and he promoted it, and President Roosevelt opposed it, which there's a lot of stuff about President Roosevelt that we don't really get told. And one of them is that he completely opposed an old age pension, was dead set against it. But Dr. Townsend organized and he sent 10 million signatures to Congress. And nobody can ignore 10 million signatures. They just can't do that politically. So they adopted the plan. And the plan was called Social Security. So if it wasn't for a man shaving in a leisurely way with an old-fashioned straight razor, which I can teach you how to do with my book, which you'll find at mojoacademy.org. It's look at the page, The Manly Art of Shaving. You'll see that Albert Einstein asked a question: why do I always get my best ideas while I'm shaving? Now, you see, we rush through shaving now. It's become a chore for men. You zip through it, and it's an annoyance. But if you take the time to do it and luxuriate in it and relax while you do it and almost meditate while you do it, I can tell you that it's going to change your life. And I'm addressing this not to the 5% of men who shave that way now, because they know what it does. I'm addressing the 95% of men who don't do it. So it's a great gift for the man in your life, or if you're a man and yourself, you want to do that, get it for yourself. Go to mojoacademy.org and look at shaving. Look at the page that's called The Manly Art of Shaving. Download a free brochure there about the biggest shaving mistake that men make. There, see? I learned that too. I figured that out too. So that's to me, these are all spiritual, because when I shave with this, first of all, you can't hurry shaving with a straight razor, or you're going to end up in the emergency room. And I'll show you that a lot of people have hurt themselves over the years shaving with a straight razor because they do it the way they see it done in the movies. And in the movies, those are not real blades. If you shave that way, you'd flay yourself. So don't even think about it. But I strongly suggest that if you want to enhance your time, instead of rush through an odious chore, and I realize that most men listening aren't going to do this, but the few of you who do, I did this book especially for you. And my shaving soap will make it much easier. And I've got a special offer for a free shaving brush. If you've never done this before, then you don't have a shaving brush at home, and it can be daunting. There are so many on the market. I'll get you a free shaving brush under the right circumstances. So take a look at mojoacademy.org at the shaving stuff. I even have a counterfeit Williams shaving soap, which is my own soap, but in a box that looks like the old Williams soap. So it's kind of a fun little cheat. But that's stuff to look at my websites. Marie in Winnipeg, Canada is next. Hi, Marie. You're on with Reverend Eliot. Marie, you with me?
Hello, I'm here.
Oh, hi. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm recovering from a bad cold.
Oh, no. I had one too. But are you like me, that you get sick when the seasons change?
Not usually, no. I fare quite well, but this was a doozy. It was a good week long.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad you're better, and I'm glad you're calling us here in the lower 50 states. You're certainly not going to be the 51st state, are you?
No, we're not.
No, I don't know. I sometimes think I think that's a publicity gimmick just to rile people up, because I can't see it happening. Yeah,
no. There's always gimmicks behind these comments.
It can't be serious. I'm hoping. Now, if it's serious, and they start amassing troops at the border here, give me a heads up, okay? Because that would
there
be
you go.
Yeah. Then we'd have to do something about that, wouldn't we? In any case, let's now that we know that isn't going to happen, let us look at your cards. What would you like to look at?
Oh, sorry, I'm getting lots of feedback. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. What would you like to look at?
I think my future, my career, my retirement,
Okay.
and how
Retirement. I always subscribed to the Travis McGee theory, the Travis McGee novels, a private detective type guy he takes his retirement in installments. So he'll work until he has
Oh,
enough
that's
money, and
fun.
then he'll lay off for a few months and keep going. And that's what I did that. But then, of course, the pandemic hit, and my business got killed by the shutdowns. So I figured,
Yeah, I
I was
suppose.
doing that. I was doing that 20 years. Good time to stop, right? So let's see what we have here. Okay, the page of coins tells me that you've been preparing with the money for retirement, correct? You've been planning for that.
A little.
Yeah, because the page of coins is the appearance of money. It's working with money. It's the money being there. The justice card is here. That's pretty good. That means you're going to be getting what you. I'm fascinated here because you see these are all coin cards. You asked about work and money and retirement, and it's all here. The justice card is followed by two money cards, which is the four of coins. That's a person who's very careful with money. That's it. Doesn't it? A lot of people misinterpret that card and think it's a cheapskate, but no, it's just a person who very closely.
I'm very frugal. I'm very
Yeah,
frugal.
in a practical way. That's right, practically doing it. And the three of
Sorry.
coins is here too. The three of coins is about a person who is doing work that is like a temporary thing. It's got a beginning and an end, so you know when the job is over. It's like a job that you've been like commissioned to do, or a task within your job, and you're working diligently at it, and you succeed in it. Now the key to that is that it leads you to something else. The success that you have with that three of coins when you complete whatever that project is going to work to your favor, and it's going to lead to new job opportunities because I've got the ace of rods, which is about the new work appearing in your life, new possibilities for work. Now, see, to me, this is fascinating because you asked about this specifically, and four of the five cards I have here relate to what you asked for. The justice card is a bigger thing, you know. You don't have any lawsuits or anything going on now, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, because if you did, that card would generally mean you're going to do well. But the justice means you're going to get, in the overall scheme of things, that you're going to get what you deserve, which is what you've been working at, what is getting what you deserve. Now, the next card scares people, but it shouldn't. It's the death card. And that doesn't mean you're going to die. You know, I mean, the cards don't predict that because we're all going to go sometime. The death card is the end of one phase of your life and the beginning of another. And that's your retirement. Because the
There
death
you
card,
go.
it has a sunrise there. It's not just dead people, but it shows a sun rising in the background, which means it's the beginning of a new day. So that is actually quite a good sign, because that card tells me that you're going to finish one period of your life and begin another one. And we know what that's going to be. And it's also, I have here the four of rods. Rods again are working career, and that is a card of happiness, a happy home and joy and all kinds of good stuff. So I think you're handling it well. You're being very judicious with. See, that's how I sneak in the justice card, right? But it's you're
There
you're
you
you're,
go.
you're doing it in a very judicious and frugal manner. You know what you want to do. You know how you're going to do it, and you're doing it, and you're going to succeed at it. You're going to have offers of new kinds of work that will push you along in your plans. But ultimately, you're going to retire, which will be the beginning of the next phase of your life. And I'm going to cut the cards randomly here, and let's see, what do I get? Good, well, good. There you go. The cups, the seven of cups, which is about a person with a lot of ideas, good creative ideas. So your retirement, you're going to be very creative and hardworking in terms of thought and ideas and planning. And then the world, which is this is assured success, the sun rather, in the world. The sun is healing, health, growth, happiness, and success. So you're going to do very well. These are all positive cards, and it's all due to your effort. It's your work that's getting it done. Okay.
Well, that sounds great. What kind of timeline are we looking at here?
Oh, it's happening now. You're in the middle of it, right? This is what's going on now. that you're
Oh,
planning
cool.
for it and you're doing it and you're making it come to life.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's a card that signifies timeline. Let's see if I can get that card at all. Well, no, but there's another card of rods, which is work and career, and this is the six of rods, which is not just success but triumph. So you're going to succeed at your plans. This everything here tells me that your plans are going to succeed. So
That sounds wonderful.
yeah, it sounds good to me. So you're going to enjoy
All
it a
my
great deal.
headaches are worth it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We. I mean, I knew a guy one time who went when he was young. He decided that he was going to retire at 50, and everything he did in his life from his teens on was geared at retiring at 50. And he did it. I mean, he missed it by 1 year because one of his sons crashed up the car, so he had to work another year. But he did whatever advanced. Now you're doing this in a more frugal manner. He was fanatical about it. He learned how to be a tailor so that he could make his own clothing and save money that way. He learned how to take a car apart and put it back together again so that he could never have problems with mechanics and automobiles. He became a ham radio operator so he could talk to people all over the world and travel and have friends around the world. Because when he retired, he got a job mopping up as a custodian at an airline terminal. And in those days, I don't know if they do it now, but in those days, if you worked for the airline, you were allowed to fly anywhere in the world free as long as you paid the sales tax on the ticket. So he was able to, because he set up his life that way, he was able to travel around the world and stay with people who he had spent years talking with on his ham radio shortwave set. So but he had a plan and he wouldn't let go. And he became a
he
boy
was
scout.
smart about it. Yeah.
He became a scoutmaster. He became an Eagle Scout, and then he became a scoutmaster so that he could take vacations in the summer at Boy Scout camps free and get paid for it. So this guy was on the ball. I like that old guy. I miss the guy. But anyway, you're doing it, but you're doing it you're doing a similar thing in that you're planning for it. You're living frugally right now and judiciously to keep an eye on later. And that's where so many people get caught short, is not doing that. And I applaud you for that.
Yeah.
You're doing fine. You're really preparing for the next phase of your life, and you're going to be rewarded for it. Is the way I see it. And that is, the card with the 10 of coins and the 6 of rods. These are really cards of abundance and happiness and joy and success. So my hat is off to you. Thanks for calling. And let's shuffle up the cards and get set for the next caller. You're listening to Reverend Eliot's Magical Window on the Ask One Radio Network, where we get together every Wednesday at 11 Eastern, 10 Central, 9 Mountain, and 8 Pacific to look through the magical window of the tarot. And as I did at the top of the show, discuss certain esoteric, occult things. This is, by the way, this is nothing to be scared of. The esoteric arts. It's gotten a bad rap from movies, but no, it's not. It's really not a scary thing. It's nor is it a superstitious thing. It's just this is well explained in things like the 10 Lost Books of the Prophets, which I spoke about earlier. But if you need to know more about magic and you're interested, if this piques your interest, and I hope it has, although I'm not being evangelical about it because it's not for everybody. But if you're interested, magic-works.com, magick-works.com is my website. And you can always contact me. If you have any questions, I'm happy to chat with anybody. Just my email is asktarot, ASKTAROT @earthlink.net. And you can find me through magic-works.com at the contact page, or you can contact me through Ask One Radio. I'm the easiest guy in the world to get hold of. But I'd be more than happy to chat with you. And no, there's no charge for that. People want some. Now, do you want something free? Aside from chatting with me, which may not be your speed, you can go to my webpage, magic-works.com, and see there's a free birth chart I'll be more than happy to send you a free birth chart. If you want a full birth chart, it's a nominal fee. But the free one really handles a lot of the information. And I offer everybody listening a free mini reading because I can't get to everybody in the show, especially with a blabbermouth like me, right? So if you want to get in, or if you just don't feel like talking in front of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people at a time, just hey, drop me a line and I'll do a free mini reading for you on the house. That's my gift for you being an Ask One radio listener. Sheila in Halifax is on next. Hi, you're on with Reverend Eliot.
Oh, hi. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you tonight, Sheila?
Fine, thank you.
Oh, good. What can I look at for you?
Can you just see if there's any messages for me?
From anyone in particular? Or do you mean
Oh.
from the other side or just in general?
I guess from my Aunt Rhoda, if you can, please.
Okay, let's see. Let's concentrate on your Aunt Rhoda and I'll see what I get.
Thank you.
Well, my pleasure. That's what I'm here for. Let's see. Okay, the first card I have is the Sun, which I get that a lot when looking at afterlife readings, which is a card of health and healing and growth and happiness, which it says that the spirit is evolving and growing and is happy, is doing well. See, that's always a very good thing to look out for. Here's the Death card. There you go. That's one of the cards I look for to see if I am in fact doing an afterlife reading. Now that showed up in the last one I did. Now let's see what we have here. Let's shuffle them again and get another card or two for you. These cards are going according to the way these readings always seem to go for me, which is they acknowledge sadness. Okay, that's the Nine of Swords, which shows a person weeping and under the Nine Swords. There's sadness in the loss. But the other cards here are happy. The cards are and then I've got an interesting piece of news for you. The Knight of Coins is here, and the Ten of Rods is here, which is the Ten of Rods is that the person was feeling burdened near the end, but is feeling much relieved now, released. King of Cups is here, and that is about emotional fulfillment. So the spirit is doing very well emotionally. We know from the Sun that the spirit is healing and growing. But there's another card here, an important card. It's a major card called the Magician. And that is a person who has a spiritual bond and can bring power from above and use it down here on earth. And that's telling me that this particular spirit is looking out for you. Did you get that feeling ever?
Oh, yes, I do.
Well, this is a card that is confirming it, that the person is looking out for you from above and is helping take care of you. The last card is the Ten of Cups, which is it's funny because I mentioned that card earlier by mistake. The Ten of Cups is great happiness and joy. See, the sadness is there at passing. The person who passes feels they tend to miss this realm. The people here left behind miss the person, but eventually the happy memories come to the surface, and that's important. And what I'm getting here is the message is that I'm watching you, I'm protecting you, I'm there for you, and you'll do all right. Okay? Does that help you out?
Oh, yes, it does. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And is there anything else you want to look at?
Did my aunt wrote a? Did she read tarot cards?
Did your aunt read tarot cards?
Yeah.
Well, let's see if we get a yes or no here, which is, well, the Hierophant is here and the Queen of Cups is here. So what we're talking about is a person who is really is plugged into the spiritual side of things. That's the Hierophant, and the Queen of Cups is the emotional side of things. So, in the absence of a definitive yes or no, I'm going to say yes, because the
Okay.
Hierophant is the spiritual authority. That's what that card represents. Okay.
Okay, because I had a reading once, and they said, like, I like to read the tarot, and I get it from her. And I kind of
Mhm.
have this memory, like
Oh,
when I was
good.
little, of cards being around, but I just, like, I wanted to know for sure.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm getting the indication that yes, that because I'm getting the indication that this she was a very spiritual person, and in fact a spiritual religious authority. So maybe she knew more than she was telling people, if you know what I mean, because a lot of people hide that. I don't. I'm
Yeah,
a perpetual blabbermouth, so I don't hide that. But you know, to tell you a funny thing, the word authority rattles a lot of people. I once told somebody that I was an authority on tarot, and the person asked me, "Well, by whose say so are you an authority on tarot?" And I said, "Because I authored a book on tarot. That's what an authority is somebody who wrote a book." So there you go.
all right
But
on.
I'm so I think that your aunt was very plugged into this kind of stuff, and that because I've gotten two very powerful cards spiritually, the Magician and the Hierophant. So that's good to know. I've got to run because I'm running out of time here. I'm about to hit the video wall and be finished, but I'll be back next week, so maybe you can listen again. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Reverend Eliot.
Thank you for calling. It's my pleasure. Bye bye now.
Okay,
And
take
that
care.
that's it. We've gotten through another technological feat, which is it took me 20 minutes to log into Skype. Now I don't want to say anything bad. I'll only say good things about Skype, and that is that Skype is going away in May. Good. How's that? But that's the system for now that we use to convey the shows. In the meantime, we'll get something new, something better. If I have to come knocking on all your doors, that's what we'll do. I'm a very persistent fellow. I was in sales, but I was never a pushy salesman. I never could do that. You wouldn't happen to want to buy this, would you? I was very shy. You have no idea how shy I used to be. Maybe I'll talk about that sometime. Maybe I can write a book about that, because I was probably the shyest person you'll ever meet, and that's no joke at all. And people came to very bizarre conclusions about me because they thought that I was kind of hiding things, but I was just shy. Well, I got over that really fast by forcing myself onto a stage. I was writing jokes for comedians, and I decided to do it myself. And nothing breaks your shyness like getting on a stage and talking in front of strangers. That you know, that that'll do it. That will do it. But it took years. So I don't think I'm shy anymore. I'm certainly not a wallflower. Like if my life consists of experiences with doctors, and if I don't like what they're doing, I tell them, and I tell them why, and maybe 90% of them get upset, and the others will compliment me for not being a passive patient, and I can dig that. I like that. So until we get together next week, this is Reverend Eliot. The show is Reverend Eliot's Magical Window on the Ask One Radio Network, where we get together every week to look through the tarot for an hour. That's the magical window that shows us what's going on in life. You can find more about me at magic-works.com, magick-works.com. and mojoacademy.org for the books, especially the shaving stuff I mentioned and the shaving soap. Take a look at that, because that stuff make a nice gift. So we're out of here, and I'm going to be gone and hibernate until next week, when because this is a high point of my week is getting together. I'm not kidding. I'd do this every day if I could. But I'll see you again next week. Until then, remember, time flies. It's up to you to be the navigator. Bye-bye.